All right. Hey, Tommy.
Hello, Kris.
I'm really grateful that we can finally get this together. I've been talking about it for over a year now. I was watching the SMS and I saw that I sent you this original one around July last year. So it's been a work in progress, but we're going to hopefully record a few of these chats with you and I regarding anything and all thing bodybuilding, from the past, from the future, from all the stuff. And I figure the very first clip would be really good to get to know you, because you are pretty much Mr. Bodybuilding in Norway. And I would like to talk a little bit about your past and where you've come from. I've known you now for many, many years, but I met you in 2003. Yeah, now you come for a surprise. I met you in 2003. Believe it. Was that the year you were on the Olympia stage? Was it 2002 or 2003?
The year before, yes. And in 2003, it was in Australia.
Yeah, so 2003, I met you at the old Crown Casino complex, and you were doing the pro show there.
I remember. I was in Austria.
You were sorry?
Australia. Sorry, I remember I was in Australia. And where did we meet?
Well, we met after the pre-judging. You were sitting at one of the tables there, signing little photos and stuff.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, I recognized you because I go, that guy looks a lot like Kai. Because I used to bounce with your brother, the Scotsman, and he used to show me pictures. He goes, "This is my brother. He's a pro in Australia, in America." And I'm going, "Really? Yeah, he's really famous. He's Tommi Thorvildsen." I'm going, "Okay." So then the next year, I'm in Melbourne, and I see that you're on the contest list. So I was going up to you after prejudging, and I got, "Wow, you look so much like your brother." And I remember coming up to you and saying in Norwegian, "You look a lot like your brother Kai," and you just looked at me really funny.
Yeah, but did you live in Norway by then, or?
I had just moved back to Australia from living in Norway for a year and a half. Yeah. So now Melbourne is kind of where I grew up, and I was actually getting ready for my first bodybuilding show.
Yeah.
That was going to be in May that year, and I thought, I went to the pro show to get a little inspiration, and I saw you competing along stage with John Davey, who was my old business partner.
I remember. I think he qualified for the Olympia that show.
Yeah, John got second on that show, so he qualified for his one and only Olympia show.
Yeah,
and he remembers you, and obviously Tony Doherty is quite fond of you. He knows you as well. In fact, I was listening. I was actually writing a message to a mate of mine in Australia who's had some issues with. He's getting back into competing again, and I told him I'd like to do a podcast with you, and I said, "Oh, I'm good friends with Tommy," and he goes, "You're friends with Glutezilla." so your glutes are famous in even from that long ago. You've left a legacy with those glutes, so you've done really well. But so let's get into that. If we're going to talk about tell us about your bodybuilding past. Like, where are you from originally?
Well, I'm from a place south in Norway, and was at that time when I was living there about 5,000 people in Tvedestrand, Norway. So I grew up there. Good. It was great to grew up there with a good family and school there and everything by the sea. And then I started to work out when I was about 15 years old at the local small fitness center. It's not a fitness center, it's just a small gym. They had what you needed, but not so much. But it was a start.
What age were you when you did that?
About 15 years. I used to play soccer, like Norwegian football. And I liked to play at the team, but when I started to training with weights, I liked that better because it was up to myself. I got the results. If I was more serious, I got more results. If you play good or bad at the team is together. So it was good, but I really loved the bodybuilding because it was an individual sport. Of course, you have a team around you, but it's up to you. That's appealed to me. So I started to train when I was 15 years, and my brother trained and worked out and had some Ironman magazines and magazines home. So I was kind of inspired by that, and I looked at Arnold's films, and of course it was the pumping iron. So my training partner and me used to watch pumping iron before we went to the gym.
We've all done that. What year would you say that is? Would that be in the 80s?
The year I started, I think I was 15 years old. So which year?
Yeah.
If I was born in 74, you can calculate it.
Oh, I don't want to do the math here. Okay. But yeah, no, we are that age where we'd actually need to pull out calculators. So 2025.
No, I went to the army when I was okay.
Oh, I can't do the math on that one. Yeah, so you went into the army for you were called in for the 1 year service?
Yeah, I went into the army for almost a year, and it was kind of great being there because I could train. It was tough in the beginning, the first 3 months, but after that it was better. I could train, and once in a while in the weekend I went down to Harald's if I didn't go home. So at that time I started to train at Harald's gym in Oslo.
So Harald's was that one of the only bodybuilding gyms around in that time in Norway?
Yeah, it was the main hardcore gym in Norway at that time.
And who were the pros around that time? Was that when was that then when?
Oh, it was Norwegian. Was Geir Borgan Pause.
Yeah, so he did the Night of Champions, didn't he? And he did the Master Olympia.
Yeah, it was good.
And then there was also the Gunnar Rosberg. What did you ever get to beat him?
No, yeah, I met him actually. When I competed in Sandefjord, he handed me, I think the first time I won, he handed me the trophy.
Oh, was
I remember shaking his hand. It was really solid. Really.
Yeah, he had a very impressive physique. He's still well known as probably the guy that scared Lou Ferrigno to put his T-shirt back on.
And I remember when I came to Harald's gym, first time, I think it was first time, Geir Borgan Paulsen sat in the sofa like this with just a tank top and his chest pulled out, and he ripped a chicken off the skin of the chicken and eating. So it was like, wow. And one time I came in the beginning, Cecilie Christensen was there curling on the biceps. So I haven't seen that live before. So it was kind of
Now she had a very impressive physique. She was I've seen photos from her. She would crawl around on the stage with her routine. Yeah. She back in those days, that was when you had the Corey Eversons and that sort of look. So it was a very different look back in those days.
Yeah. More feminine. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think it's well, we can talk about that another day, how the sport's turned. But so who would you say your main idol was when you were first getting off into bodybuilding, aside from Arnold?
Yeah, like Arnold first, it was, but then after a while I kept reading about Dorian and Dorian's training philosophy. I was inspired because he came up so fast, short time. So his training philosophy, I liked it, so I tried it out. And I remember one summer, me and my training partner, I think I was around 18, 19 years old, and we used to paint and train in the morning and train in the evening, sometimes twice a day, and paint all day. So by the end of the summer, we read about Dorian, and then we changed the routine. We cut it in half almost, train once a day. I think it was 5 times a week, and we just keep growing to another level fast. So I really like that, to put everything into one workout and not hold back. That's what I really liked. So I kept doing that. So we didn't do just one set, though. We did more sets, but that philosophy, I follow that a lot when I escalated as a bodybuilder.
And you eventually ended up training with Dorian for a year. Did you?
We didn't train together so much, but I stayed in at his gym when I moved there, and he looked at my training and gave me advice on what to do. So he was really friendly, because when I moved to England, it happened like this. He was a judge at the show, where actually I won a lot of shows, but that show I came second, 2 points behind getting the pro card. And after the show, we were out eating at Aker Brygge or a beef house there. So he told me he had me at first place, and he would like to invite me over to England. And I had a contract with his supplement that time. It was chemical nutrition products. So maybe he didn't think I was that serious, but I saved money for 3 months when I moved over. So I came to his gym, first to Manchester, where the headquarters of chemical nutrition products were, and then they drive me down to Dorian. And I came to Dorian with the bag of sand, and no, I'm here. So he, I think he was a little bit shocked. He knew I was coming, but so we went out, got the newspaper, and we looked at an apartment I could rent, and we called around, and soon we just found an apartment, and he was driving me up to the apartment in his BMW, and everything went smooth. So then I was in England training at his gym.
Was that while he was still Mr. Olympia, or had he finished competing?
He just retired,
Just retired, yeah. So he was a little bit more talkative then. He would have been a bit.
Yeah, he was massive. When he went down the stairs, you see all the calves and everything. Everything was big. Still.
Yeah. What so and did Kai? I thought Kai was there with you for some of that.
Yeah, he came over and we trained them both for a while. Yeah, it was great.
No, I was lucky enough to go to that gym, that temple gym. I went there on my 30th birthday, and I remember I met Dorian that day. I went downstairs, and he was on the treadmill. And Dorian's been my idol for forever, and I think seeing him in person and then got to talk to him for about 45 minutes. He was just the most coolest guy, and I've met him a couple of times, and then I find out that you had spent so much time with him. What was it that he told you? I think one of the things you could brag about didn't Dorian tell you to maybe not train so hard?
Well, he didn't actually tell me not to train so hard. He just told me to do a little bit more correct on some exercise. If I did bend over row, I could maybe do 250 kilo. So maybe you should take off one plate to each side, and it was no question. You can't argue with him. So of course my intelligence said that, of course, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I did it, and my back started growing more. So it was good advice. So.
He was really ahead of his time, and I think he took what Mensa said and put his own spin on it. But I think Dorian was very, very controversial for that. I think he really created a big divide between him and Arnold on their training philosophies, and I think Dorian changed. He basically changed the direction of bodybuilding. After that, there was bodybuilding changed forever.
Yeah, he did. After that, or when he came up, he was the new mass monster.
Yeah,
another level.
So what year did you actually get your pro card? What year was that?
I got the pro card a year from 99 to 2000. Okay. I had competed and won several shows in Norway, and this last show before I became a pro was an invitational show in Belgium from people from Europe. So I came I think it was about 15 people. So I came down to the show, and I won the show. And 6 weeks after the show, I was scheduled for a guest appearance since Chemical Nutrition Products had a pro show in, I think it was Manchester, and they wanted me to guest post. So I thought it was a great opportunity. I knew the president of the IFBB, Wayne DeMille, will come and look at the show, and I really want to be a pro. So I figure out, no, I'm in shape. So the only thing I have to do is keep the diet, just increase the calories. I come in fuller. Since I want to be a pro, I have to come in full and in good shape. So I kept the diet for 6 more weeks and showed up at the show. That is the show where I'm using the cape, the dark move.
Yeah.
In it. So that was great. So after the show, we are at the banquet. Nassar is there, Flex is there, all the guys are there. And I'm going up to Wayne DeMille and ask, and talk to him first then. And then finally I ask him, what can I do to get the pro card? And he asked, oh, you have won the title twice in Norway, so and so. So he told me, you are qualified, actually. You need the IFBB in Norway to write a letter to me so I can see what I can do. So then I asked the Norwegian Federation to write him a letter. And I think 2 or 3 weeks later, I got in the mail, pro card.
So why didn't the Norwegian IFBB do that automatically? Why did you have to ask, or they didn't really want you to be a pro, or what happened there?
No, I had to ask. They didn't ask me. So, but when I asked them, they did that. So,
yeah, because it's kind of reminds me of Lee Priest's trouble getting a pro card. He had to kind of go around the back to get it because the Australian president at the time didn't want to give him a pro card. So
they probably see him as very valuable to have him as an amateur because people want to see him, and when he go to the pro, he's a pro. It's another level.
Yeah. So what did you, when you got your pro card, then you how long till you decided to move to America, or what was the thinking there?
As I got the pro card, I got offer from Belgium, a little bit better deal. I could have a sponsorship with a supplement company, and the manager of the supplement company, Ferdy Robines, he had helped people before, like Gary Strider, I think Sean Ray Flex. He spoke to the guys in America and helped people getting in shape and all this. So he said he can help me a little bit. And so I moved to Belgium, and I got really a new friend, which is Siggy Segers. He had a gym, so he wanted me to stay there, help some of his athletes. So basically I moved to Belgium because financially it was a little bit better. And Ferdy going to help me a little bit. So I went down they had a factory where he had his main office. So he started to take my measurement, body fat, with a fat caliper. And that made a difference from I competed before to the time I competed with Ferdy's help. So from 2000 was my first show as a professional bodybuilder in Canada, and I was used to winning, and I came to Canada. I had one call out and it's home. So the next year I moved to Belgium in 2000, in the beginning of the year. I had a tear in the pec, so I couldn't train so much. But then I started to prepare for the show. So I could train. He was a little bit sucked in the tear, but I started to prepare. And he measured my body fat level, and I came down to his office. I showed him my diet. I used to do my diet myself all the time, but I just showed it to him, and we talked, and maybe I just something. And then week by week, I got just better and better shape. And the last 2 weeks, we cut out all fats almost. We even cut out oatmeal. Took away oatmeal and changed it for rice. So I think I only had the 3 capsules omega-3. It was very, very tough. That's the toughest diet I ever went on. But I kept going, and I came in my best shape of my life. So from the year before, in 2000, I didn't get the place. Suddenly I was there in Canada, 2001. backstage after the pre-judging, and they're gonna announce the name of the people to go to the
finals.
Yeah. So I'm standing. I remember a lot of the other pros waiting. I think we were 15 guys waiting. But so when they announced my name, I was so happy, and we went out and did the post down, and I came fourth in the show. It was awesome. I remember so much. The year before, I was sitting in the audience, and I didn't have a place at all. I didn't come top 16, and then I realized I just need to get better.
Yeah.
So.
Do you remember who won that show?
When I came fourth?
Yeah.
Yes, it was this guy who got an injury. It's a big black guy. Or what's his name?
Was it Alk Gurley? He was around that time, wasn't he?
No. What's his name?
Oh, there's a lot of black guys who've been injured.
No, he was at that time. He used to train at Bev Francis gym.
Okay. Oh, so he was on East Coast.
Burke.
Okay. Orville Burke.
Orville Burke, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was him. He was great, man. He was great.
No, they were that era. You were right in the thick of it. The 90s and 2000s. That's kind of like, for me, the best era, the best physiques from that time. It was
awesome to compete when you look back. And after that show, I came fourth. I had one more week to the show. I went to New York, so I had another show there. Night of the Champions. So
that was when Night of Champions was a prestigious thing. That too. Yeah, that was. I think Wayne. That was Wayne DeMillier's show, wasn't it? He
was awesome. The crowd was fantastic, and when he came out in the streets after, people were like so fan of bodybuilding.
Yeah, I heard he brought elephants and all sorts of weird stuff to those shows. He put on a show.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So when you were in Melbourne, then that was in 2023.
Yeah,
that was pretty much in your peak of when you were a pro then.
Yeah, around that time. I think I was to Australia twice. I think I competed twice in Australia.
Did you travel a lot as a pro? You competed in many countries.
Yeah, I competed a lot. And one year I had 9 shows in 1 year.
Wow. So, as a pro.
Yeah.
So.
And the most show I had in a weekend was 3.
That was at the European tour. That was pretty much a show every night. Yeah.
Friday in Russia, Saturday in Netherlands, and Sunday in England.
Would that Miloš have been on that? No, that was after Miloš's time.
Yeah, maybe that was after.
Yeah.
But I remember competing with him in, I think it was Budapest.
Yeah. Was that Budapest?
A lot of time, Milos.
Was that Budapest show that you told me afterwards you were having dinner and they kind of said you had arrived now because you were placing top 6?
Huh?
Was that you told me one time about the time you were sitting having dinner after the show and you weren't sitting with the top 5 guys because until you started placing in the top 5, you were a nobody. But then like after that, Chris Cormier and those guys pretty much accepted you, Flex Wheeler, and said, okay, well, we have to give this guy some props now.
Yeah, I think as a pro, when you're coming up, but people are friendly, but it's like a war backstage before the pre-judging. Everybody had the contracts, everybody depending on a lot of the money they get from this, and you can feel it when you go on stage on the pre-judging. And then when the final is there, people loosen up a little bit. So, but I used to talk with Flex and Chris Comer, Dexter, those guys. And as you came up and you proved yourself, maybe they respected you a little bit more because they see a lot of guys who coming up and who has the guts to really pull this shit off, because it's not easy to diet and train and go on the road and everything. So, but they were friendly with me, so I had a good time talking with the other pros.
So you were a Weeder athlete. You were officially signed by Joe, weren't you?
Yes, I was 3 years.
So what was it like meeting Joe for the first time?
Well, I was up at the headquarters in Woodland Hills in California there, and I came into his office and talked with him, and that was really great. And also one time when I competed at Olympia, one of the guys from Weeder came to my room and said that Joe really want to meet you.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, he's gonna come to your room. So then he came to my room, and we sat down in the sofa together, and I was talking with him, and yeah, it was awesome because he had so much influence on the sport with what he did. So
yeah,
and he brought me to America, so it was fantastic.
Did you have any association with Ben as well, or was it mainly Joe?
Not really. I talked with him before I went to America on emails and stuff before I got the contract.
So when you got your contract with Joe, was that when you had moved to America, or he brought you to America based on that contract?
Well, it happened like this. I was posing at FIBO 3 times a day the weekend, and I got this job. We talked to the representative from Weeder, so I was living in Belgium, so I could go to FIBO and work for them. I also worked for Powerhouse at the same time that year at FIBO. And then I talked to the athletes representative from Weeder, and I said to her, I really want to move to the States and work with Weeder. So, and he said, since I've been working there, doing shows 3 times a day, and Ronnie was there, and some of the other top guys were there. Günther, I remember. She's gonna put in a good word for me, and then she's gonna see what she can do. And then I wrote, I think, Ben a mail, and yeah, I got positive feedback. They were interested. So I negotiated a deal so they should pay a little bit extra for the visa, working visa.
Yeah. So you got one of those special athletes visas, or just a working visa, or
working visa, or what? Yeah.
That's
as a professional athlete.
Yeah, I helped Christine Finsource get that visa when she moved to Arizona. She asked me for a recommendation so she could be moved there as an IFBB pro. So I understand that visa process. But that's really it's a big move, because once you're in America, that's when they start to really pay attention to you. I've heard the stories that if you don't want to come to America, then you're not going to place in the top, outside the top 9. So you're going to commit it there all in.
Yeah, they were really friendly when I was there. So I had a really great time living there.
So then when did you end up with Ed Connors?
Well, when I was younger, as an amateur, he was in London. I talked with him there, and I spoke with him. We spoke on emails, and I talked with him, and he said he could bring me to America.
Wow.
So I could go and stay at his house at Venice Beach, and that's just very close to Goldstream. And at that time, he used to own Goldstream.
Yeah.
So they had over 600 gyms, him and 2 others they own. So I came, stayed for some weeks at his house, and that was great. So trained at Goldstream. I didn't have a car. I was having a bike, so I was biking all the way up. But he was really friendly. There was 2 other bodybuilder athletes training at this staying at this place.
Yeah.
And, one time he gonna take us out to look at, I think it was Terminator 2, the release.
Yeah.
We go to the theater, and when we driving up there, he said, "We're gonna pass by 2 buildings there," and he pointed up at the one building, and he said, "I used to work there."
Yeah.
I think that time he was an architect.
Yeah, he was.
Pointed up at the other building. He said, I was working there too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard it's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but how can you work 2 places? That's why he wanted to tell us. Well, in the lunchtime, I went up to the other building and I stamped, so I had 2 wages, 2 salaries.
No, that's Ed. Like, I think Ed, I still can listen to Ed Con interviews for hours. I mean, he's like a Milosh. He's encyclopedia bodybuilding, but more so from a business point of view, because he basically took goals and made it what it is today. And
I remember one time he set me up at the photo shoot. I had a contract with Wader, so I couldn't do anything else. But he arranged this photo shoot from Pinnacle, where you stand like this and face up.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a lot from that session. It was just 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And actually, the picture was on a car when they delivered it to the Mr. Olympia winner, because Pinnacle, I think, delivered it. So he actually got me that commercial.
Yeah.
So I could do it since my face was up. It was kind of easy money when you just was there for 30 minutes. So
he saw you in England, which meant that he must have really liked your potential, because he's got the eye for bodybuilders. If he sees somebody, he's the one who saw Jay Cutler, and he's the one that's, says Lee Priest was like nothing else. So like, for him to have paid attention to you, that's a huge thumbs up.
I remember at that time, I think it was that when I was in the early 2000, Senna used to work at Goldstream, the wrestler.
Yeah, John Cena. He got stories of him too.
Yeah, he helped him too, So he came him up. So he helped a lot of people. I think over 600 house guests have stayed at his house. Yeah.
No, I met a former pro wrestler who had some John Cena stories from that time too, and I think it was like John Cena was very good friends with Vince McMahon's son, so that was kind of one of the helps that he got. But who knows what sort of influence people have. But I think you are basically when bodybuilding was at its peak, when Joe was running the show, when magazines were what they are. They don't exist these days. It's all social media, and no one appreciates a photo shoot. No one appreciates lining up to get that magazine that you probably took the photo 12 months ago, but it's finally being printed now. And I think you must have so many stories from your years as a pro in Venice Beach. Do you remember anything funny, any particular thing from the Gold's Gym era funny stories that maybe no one's heard?
Well, I was kind of not into so much drama. I was just eating my food and training. Yeah. But I remember first photo shoot at Ironman. I came up and I was used to training heavy and stuff, and you're going to do dumbbells. And they all paperweight. It looks like 30 kilo, but it was fake.
Yeah.
So some of the photo shoots, they did it so you're just gonna look good with a smile. But at Milo's gym, we used to shoot really hardcore workouts.
I think there was a Dorian, because I think it was Chris Lund who did the shoots with Dorian, and Dorian said, "I'm going to lift real weights. I don't want the fake weights. Give me the real weights." And I think the images of Dorian with making those faces, it's because he really was rowing the 150s. He was lifting those real weights. until those days are all people smiling, you know, in the hot skins, just all oiled up. But Dorian put a raw roughness to these photo shoots.
Yeah, it was good. And I remember shooting with Kris. He was really into it. He even laying on the floor shooting, and he wanted to look really real. So he did amazing photo shoots with a bodybuilder.
So would you say that if you look at bodybuilders from this era, without Joe's influence, what do you think Joe Weider's legacy is to a pro? What do you think he made the difference in pro bodybuilding?
Also, for me, I know it was very good for me to be a Weider athlete for 3 years. I learned a lot, and also which I use now in business. I saw the way he did stuff, and I could use it myself. So I think a lot of the other pros learned from how he was doing stuff and made their own business.
Yeah. That's what when Kevin was here the other day, he said that Joe trained the bodybuilders to think what happens after bodybuilding. You know, you need a career afterwards, and you need to think of yourself as a commodity, and how are you going to invest in that? You only have so many years as a pro athlete, but you have this legacy that you created. So like you've turned Tommi Nutrition into one of the biggest supplement businesses now in Norway. I'd say you've overshot cost one, so you're right up there. You're heading towards tights now. And what's next is when you decided to move back to Norway, how did you make the switch, or at what year did you stop and think, okay, now it's time to work on business?
Well, I came back, and I really want to start a gym or sell supplements. So I started to sell supplements. And first I worked for Proteinfabrikken. And then I started my own business. I didn't have any money. I had nothing. I was not supposed to move back. So
what year was that?
It was 2004, 5.
Okay, yeah. So that's quite a long time. It's almost 21 years ago.
Back. Yeah, I put everything into this bodybuilding, so no, I had to start all over. So I came back, and I worked for Proteinfabrikken, and then I started to sell protein with a friend. He had a place up at Tveita, Norway, and then we escalated to a shop, and then I started a gym, and with the gym I couldn't get any money. I went to the bank, and the bank said, well, what's your history in Norway? Well, I don't have any history. I don't have any. We can't give you any money. So my mother had to put his house up.
Wow.
Her house, he had to put it up so I could get like 400, almost 1,000. So I started the gym.
But so when you first came back to Norway, I remember you saying that so you were still a Weider, you still had a little bit left in your contract. So you were still writing for the magazines, or you were appearing in the magazines, and at the same time doing some Proteinfabrikken work. Was it like a double income there?
Yeah, I came back, so it was like a switch. I had the contract with Weider, and then it overlapped with the protein factory, Proteinfabrikken.
Yeah.
So a few months it was like, yes. But I had to tell Weider that I was not coming back, so they canceled the contract.
So at the time,
it was going out anyway. So
yeah, he had quite tight contracts. I remember he almost negotiated year to year times.
Yeah, I had in the contract, if I'm gonna have the contract, I have to live there. So I knew what's going to happen. So, but then I made my mind up to come back to Norway. So,
did you, as a Weider athlete, then you were promoting the Joe Weider products? His Victory Mass Gainer and his Gamma and Frac and with all the products he had back in those days. How much of those products were you actually using?
Well, I was using a lot because they sent product to me. I used the basic stuff like the protein, maybe some of the fat burners, some of the vitamins, minerals, the basics, omega-3.
Yeah.
And I got everything from them. So they just sent this to the house, what I needed. So actually, I used everything.
So then you were also working for Proteinfabrik, and so you were using their stuff as well. How did you compare the two products as far as quality?
Wader and
Proteinfabrik, yeah.
No, I think the protein Fabriken had good protein. It tasted good. I used it for a while, and Wader had more stuff.
Yeah.
And because it was in America, some of the dosages on the product were higher. So
yeah.
But like I tell everybody, the food is the number one, and the supplements is there to help you. So it helped me.
Mm. So you were coming from America, and I remember living in America in the end of the 90s, and I was going to all the supplement shops there. They were really far ahead as far as where their products were. Norway, I think Norway was probably 10 years behind. Did you see that as a real benefit? Because, hey, I can come into Norway with my American knowledge and really create something new here.
Yeah, I guess when I started my company, I felt I could do something better. Yeah.
Mm.
And I looked up at starting the company with supplements as being a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
How can you be a better bodybuilder? Well, you got to study what you got to do to be a better bodybuilder. And the same in the supplement industry. How can you make a good product for the customers? Because I knew how much it meant to me to have a good product. So that was my motivation.
So when you were making, what was the first product that you put your name to that you remember formulating?
It was the Whey Explode.
Whey Explode, yeah.
Protein.
So that was inspired by Dorian, wasn't it?
Yes, because when I was in England working for chemical nutrition product, he had a product called ProPeptide, which was different kind of protein together in one. And I want to have that too.
Mm.
So you have fast, slow, medium, digestible protein. So I used that a lot when I was at my highest peak in my bodybuilding career. So I want to make a product like that.
Yeah. And that's pretty much stayed the same for the last 20 years. It hasn't really changed much. I know you're very, very particular when it comes to flavoring. And I know that there's certain suppliers that have tried to copy and match it. And I know that you're very, very serious on the quality and consistency. So Whey Explode has been around, probably is one of the oldest protein powders in Norway, aside from Proteinfabrik and 100% Whey. And
yeah, we had it for a while, but of course we made 100% Whey from concentrate. It's a little bit cheaper because it's concentrate, still good protein. And so Whey Explode, the first one, yes, and we still sell it. It sounds good. It's good.
It does.
Yeah.
Is the Whey Explode what would you say is your biggest selling product that you sell?
I think number one maybe right now is creatine.
Sorry, that cut out. What did you say it was?
Creatine.
Okay.
It sells a lot. Actually, no, because we get it straight from the factory and out to the customers. No middle. And also pre-workout protein.
Yeah. So when you created the Tommi Nutrition, I'd like you to you didn't have a proper shop. You just had a warehouse that you shipped from. How did people buy your product? Did they have to come to that warehouse, or did you send in the mail? How did it work?
Actually, first I didn't have nothing. So I started the shop, and after I started the shop, I started the online shop. So when sitting in the shop, I sat in the shop working on the internet shop, working on all my athletes. And after working in the shop, I went to the gym helping all the athletes. So we had 80 athletes in the team 24 Fitness, and I was working with the shops all together. So it was work non-stop.
Yeah.
I had no rest. It was just from one thing to another.
And the first shop you had, that was not far from Harold, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was not. It was in Storgata.
Yeah. And that was upstairs, like on a third floor or something down a hallway.
Yeah, first you had the one up in fourth floor.
Yeah, yeah.
And because I was writing on some of the website, people came there, and then we moved it into a small shop. Yes.
Yeah. And I remember you telling me that because you had, when I worked in your shop, there was Protein Fabrikken branded everywhere. And, everyone would come in, people would come into the shop and show me the Protein Fabrikken website and say, I see this special you've got on. And I'm just going, we're not Protein Fabrikken, we're Tommi Nutrition. And they go, oh, I thought you were Protein Fabrikken. And then you said to me, let them think that. I get their customers as well. If they think I'm Protein Fabrikken's headquarters, let them.
Yeah. The thing is that Protein Fabrikken, I worked with them. So we're selling those products. I didn't have much of my own product, but then after a while I got my own product. So they used a lot of marketing. They were very good at marketing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people saw them on TV, they saw it on commercial, and we had a banner over the shop. So people came to the shop.
Yeah.
And I said we are the main shop of Protein Fabrikken in Oslo, and that was the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. And when they came to the shop, it's up to what we're gonna sell, and if they want to have a special product from Protein Fabrikken, that's okay. If they want to have something else, we are there to help them. So it was actually good. A lot of people came to the shop because they marketed very good Protein Fabrikken.
So how long have you been in Torgata? How long has that shop been there?
Yeah, we have been there for some years now, so it's good, and in Drammen too.
Yeah.
So.
But Torgata, that's kind of like the place for protein in Oslo. I can't think of any other shop that would have that kind of legacy. It's like a Gold's Gym of Oslo. Your Harald's is there for the training, and Tommi's shop is around the corner.
Yeah.
So would you say that the industry that you're in now, do you think it's how do you feel the industry is going, the direction it's going in right now? Compared to when you started? No, the supplement industry, compared to when you started it.
I think it's a little bit more people in it now in Norway than before, and more people kind of sell it. I think it has something to do with all the social media. People are more into supplements maybe now than 20 years ago because of the marketing.
Yeah.
And so there are good quality products out there, and maybe sometimes not so good quality.
No.
Do you agree?
Yeah, look, it's Martelsen's job, isn't it? They need to keep us in line. There's definitely some cowboys out there for sure, but it's I would say that Tommi is pretty much the number one supplement chain in Norway when it comes to making products that are used by athletes, made for athletes, by an athlete.
I think if you're gonna ask a company in Norway who made this product, who made it? Well, it says that company, but who made it? Yeah. Which one come up with the formula? Why did they come up with that formula?
Yeah,
it's a lot of hype, but so what I mean is, when we coming up with some of the formulas, there is a reason for that, like the amino carb with 9 essential amino acids, which you need to start building muscle, the carbs, all this stuff. So I try to just make some supplements that really work, that you can feel with amino carb, we get so much feedback back that they really feel it.
Yeah.
Instead you get catabolic, you get anabolic, which means building up when you train. So I think at least that's a very special product, which nobody else has the same. And that's, I think, is because of my background. Maybe if I didn't have the background, I would never made the product.
No, I think that's the important thing, because I think we make products based on what we need and not necessarily where we could make money. But realistically, you say, I want a product that has this in it, and then you look around and you realize, hang on, I can't even find this product in the market. That's odd. I would have thought this was quite an obvious demand, but then you find out that no, I'm first one to the market with this. So when you came up with Whey Explode, I don't think there were very many multiple phase proteins on the market. I think maybe Syntha 6, but I think that maybe come after you. I think the only times you'd have a milk or egg or something in it would be a gainer.
Yeah.
So
no, the main thing
cutting edge.
Yeah, the main thing again, you have the protein goes in, and with the concentrate and isolate, it goes pretty fast, but it goes fast out of the body. So the Whey Explode with the 5 different protein, fast, medium, and slow, it goes in fast, but it stays in the body longer. And think about if you're on a diet, which one is better?
Now your flavoring is very good, like the Twister Bomb and those sorts of things that you've come up with. Where do you get the ideas for flavors like that? Like that's I've never heard of Twister Bomb before. So,
well, it comes actually from looking at different products on the market, maybe get some ideas, and then I ask the factory to send me different kind of samples with different kind of flavors together, and I try it out, and then I'll see what's gonna work. So if I have ingredients of 3-4 flavor ingredients, then I get let's say Twister Bomb, the flavors, different flavors which are in there. Then I get send a sample to me, and I try it. Is it sweet, too sweet, less sweet, sour? And if I'm not satisfied, I have to ask them again for another sample.
Yeah. It can take many months, can't it? From the day of formula conception to on the shelf. Could take 6 months. Is that how long it could be, or what do you think?
Yeah, it can vary. Actually, it's taken 6 months for me sometimes, but it depends a little bit on the factory, how much they have to do, and this kind of things. So, again, you get a start, and then just continue and work till you get what you feel is gonna sell, or not only sell, but the customer will like. Everybody have different tastes, so some like this, but you try it, maybe some other people to try it and see if it's maybe it's gonna work.
I would love to go into a little bit about some and discuss some of the things that we've mentioned now in regards to product formulation, but we could take that another time, because I've seen some products that haven't existed, and I thought, working in GNC for many years, I thought, why isn't this a thing? And finally, 16 years later, I make the product because it still hasn't been made yet. But
I understand, Kris. You have also an eye for formula. You see,
but I got that from you. I mean, basically, working in your shop, which was kind of not expected. I got this firsthand see the Norwegian market, see what was there, what was missing, what was being the most asked for thing. The Norwegian consumer is very different from an American or Australian consumer, but the Norwegian consumer needs a little bit more educating on products, especially outside of the normal thing. I think BCAAs was the be all and end all. Try to tell a Norwegian about EAA and they just give you this blank stare, because they never heard of it before. But then, you know, it took us some time to get over it. We've introduced them to that product. But I think Protein Fabrican, as much as you could say stuff about Protein Fabrican, they did an amazing job to make creatine mainstream, to make protein mainstream. And every supplement company in Norway owes credit to Protein Fabrican for making that supplements not like, oh, he's on steroids. It's actually, it's a valid product. I think you can say what you want about them, but people don't understand that the money they spent on marketing paid off for us. Yeah. Because we are now accepted as a legitimate product. Creatine is a legitimate product because Protein Fabrican used all that money to promote it. So I think we're standing on the shoulders of giants there, and I think we've got to be really grateful for them, and grateful for they left and moved to Sweden. So now
like,
we can
like
take.
I said before, they did a good job, Protein Fabrican, when the guy. I know the guy who used to own it before. He was working nonstop, man. He had I heard story about him. He was sleeping, and he was just had so much to think about everything. So he was lying like this in his bed, like he had like so much. And I realized that when I have so much to think about myself.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
How many hours a day do you think you work now? Because people would think, oh, Tommy's so successful now, he probably works a lot less hours than before. But how many hours do you think you mentally spend a day in your business?
No, let's say some days I get up 7 and I'm in bed at 1 o'clock. And I train. The only thing I did, I just trained for 1.5, 2 hours, but then I filmed something during the training, so I had to work on too. That's the busiest days.
Yeah, and you can't see yourself selling the business, can you? You love it too much.
Yeah, no, I don't like to sell it now.
No. I think it's something that
I had been today is Sunday.
Yeah,
I've been working today too, and it's been good. I love working with Tommi Nutrition, and I'm very happy when you hear the feedback from the audience or the customer that like the product. Then I'm getting happy, very happy. It's like going on the stage and you get feedback from the judges. Oh, you was in good shape. All these things. What does it to you? It make you motivated to keep going.
Yeah.
So it's very important to me to stay connected with the customers, and it make me getting inspired to do more.
Where are you training?
I'm going to go to the gym now. You're going to go to this, Kris, later. I need to train.
Where are you training these days?
I'm going to Harald's.
Okay. Yeah. Is that far from home? Do you have to drive far for that?
No, it's not so far. I drive down there quick.
Okay. Well, Sunday, what are you training tonight?
Well, actually, this week been crazy. We had the launch of the new net shop, and I trained Sunday when Kevin and Ronan were at Mecca. But after that, I didn't train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I trained yesterday, so I'm going to train today. I'm going to see. Usually I train 4 times a week now, and I need to train. Maybe I'll skip legs this week. I never do that, but since I trained it really hard on Sunday, that was my last workout last week, Sunday. So I need to change chest. I need to do shoulder and some other stuff today.
What was it like catching up with Kevin? Was it cool? Like, did you?
It was great.
Yeah,
really great. And he gave me some advice on the shoes.
Yeah,
he said I need to change my shoes.
What's happened what's wrong with the shoes?
I had the basketball shoes.
Yeah, Jordan. You love those. Yeah,
I like to go, but he told me that no, that's for your back. It's no good. So I had to try his shoes.
Yeah,
and walk on it when we were eating, and it's right. I'm working on this hard floor at the warehouse and stuff. So actually, yesterday I went out and bought some new shoes.
What kind of shoe size? Is he the same shoe size as you?
Yeah, roughly. I
Yeah.
had them on, so.
Yeah. Who's taller, you or Kevin?
No, I think I'm taller.
Yeah. He's what, 5'7", 5'8"?
Yeah, I'm 178. You can
178.
check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm 179.
I have a
You and I are the
picture.
same size. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's older than you though. He's 60. You're not that age yet. You're still a little ways off.
Yep.
Yeah. But you've squatted more than him, I reckon. So you probably should have all the reason to shrink. You probably have less vertebra than he has.
Well, Kevin is Kevin. The shoulder, arms, something.
Yeah.
Really good.
He is phenomenal. All right. Well, I'd love to do this another time, and also
we can do it.
When we post this, we can ask if there's anyone wants to make a comment, if there are any things you'd like us to discuss in the future. I think this is something that we could do regularly and address all sorts of interesting things, developments in the supplement industry, bodybuilding, how things have changed. I've got a ton of stories, and I know that once we get talking about bodybuilding, the funny stories, now that we're both retired, we can be honest and open about all the weird stuff we've seen, and we can probably inspire a lot of people and entertain them during their cardio. And
I probably say this to people because bodybuilding made me who I am.
Yeah.
So should I stop being who I am?
No. That's like Arnold. Arnold will never stop training. Bodybuilding is something we don't do it, we are it. That's basically it.
It's not at the same level as my training as before, but that's not the point either. I can't press the gas all the way in.
No.
Pedal to the metal all the way in.
No.
I can't do it like before because it will ruin my health.
But you have inspired many people. In fact, was it Phil Heath was inspired by you? Okay. Well, he was the one who ran across the room to get some advice from you. So I think you've inspired. You've spoken to all the famous bodybuilders, and to have Phil Heath, I believe Phil Heath wanted to pick your brain on stuff. So, well, that's what Luster said. Luster said that. Luster said that was in a Prague show. He came over to you. Yeah. After you were there with the team though, you weren't competing. Yeah. It was when Phil Heath was coming up, and he said, "Hey, I want to have a chat with you."
But I talked a lot with Kris. He gave me a lot of advice on the diet in the end, and even Kevin Around gave me advice. One time, Kevin gave me advice after I can tell you this story. Kevin has retired. I'm still doing bodybuilding. We all have the video contract later. Me, Kevin, Gunther, Lee Lebrada. It's Lebrada's show in Texas. In the morning, he picks us up at the hotel in his Hummer, drive me, Gunther, and Kevin to the restaurant, and we sit talking, and the show is at the night. But in the evening, Kevin staying at the same hotel as me, and he want to go down, have a little shot with some drinks. Mm-hmm. So I'm going with him. I don't drink anything, but he's sitting there and telling me everything he did on the Grand Prix tour when he won the shows, about the food, about everything. So actually, I got some good advice from him too.
Yeah, well, that's what he did with Ronnie, and he changed the sport of bodybuilding forever. Yeah. That vodka and pizza, man.
Yeah, Kevin told that story the last weekend.
Yeah, I think Kevin he speaks fondly of the Joe Weider era, and I think we got to keep those stories alive. People who saw Joe firsthand were Weider athletes. That's why I've asked you to do this with me, because I think we need to keep this history going. We're not going to hear these stories from Nick Walker and those people. They don't have the Weider education. So I think we gotta maintain these and keep them forever, because the kids of today have got to hear about Ed Connors, what he did, what Joe Weider did, what the 90s were like, what Dorian was like. This is a legacy.
Yeah, it was a dream to train at Goldstream for those years. It was every day waking up and going to the that gym and see all the other pros and the atmosphere at that time I was there.
Yeah,
awesome. Okay, Kris.
All right. Yeah, I'll let you go. Have a good session. We'll talk.